Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. Today is Monday, January 31st. It's almost February. Can you believe that? And we are still in the transit that we moved into last Friday. And I did an entire video about that. And if you want to see more details about that, you can go and watch it right here. I do want to dive into an aspect of that transit that I did not cover in the last video. And that is that both the throat and the G center are being defined by the channel of the 3313. Now, the 33 is where the sun is right now, and the 13 is being lit up by Saturn, the great teacher. Saturn gets a really bad rap. I actually have made my peace with Saturn, which is good because in astrology, Saturn is square my sun. So I've really had to learn how to dance with Saturn. And what I've learned is that Saturn really wants you to do your work. He is the one who can help you to develop your own inner discipline, right? Your self-discipline. And Saturn has been a big supporter for me in terms of my self-discipline. And as you generators know, we actually need that to develop our mastery. I did another video about that last week, which you can see here if you want to, which is about generators headed for burnout. But one of the ways we can avoid that is when we are doing our right work and we are doing kind of our Saturn work, which is we're making incremental changes, we're working through repetition, we are doing the work that we need to do to become masterful at our craft, at the process that we do, at whatever it is that we're engaged in, that is our work in the world, whether that's something we're paid for or not. So for us generators, Saturn can actually be a huge ally when we learn how to work with him. The gate 13 in understanding human design is the listener, and in quantum human design is narrative. And I'm going to talk more about the gate 13 a little bit later in this video because the sun is about to move into the gate 13 and join Saturn there on Wednesday, and that's our upcoming transit. What I want to focus on now is this channel that is fully defined, that's coming off the G center right into the throat through two of the storytelling gates in the chart. The 56, which is also on the throat, is also another storytelling gate. But let's take a look at this image right here where we see the throat and the G center connected through this channel. Now this channel is in the sensing circuit, it's creative, it's right-brained, and so it makes sense that we would be telling stories inside of this channel. Storytelling is always a creative endeavor. Whether you're writing fiction or whether you're writing nonfiction, whenever even you're telling your own story, it's always going to be creative because we have to select certain details and leave other details out. So my invitation to you now and also through the next transit is to be really looking at the story that you're living inside of right now. You've heard me say this before if you've been following me at all, and I think it's really something important for us to take a look at on a regular basis because our conditioning can show up without us even realizing it, and the next thing we know, we're living in an old story of ourselves, whether that's a victim story or a rejected story or an unlovable, unworthy, not good enough story, right, that a lot of us have been conditioned into. Or whether it's one that just doesn't suit us anymore because we're not that person anymore. And it is on the G center, right? The 13's on the G center and the 33's on the throat. So on the G center, it's going to be about our identity. And so now through the next transit, while this 13 is being lit up by Saturn and also then by the sun, we have this opportunity to be revisiting what is the story of our identity and our lovability and our direction in life, which are all qualities of the G center. What are the stories that we're telling about that? And if we are caught in any of the old stories about how we're stuck or how we don't have opportunity, or how the world is a dangerous place, all kinds of things, right? We can choose to tell a different story right now, and you have all the support that you need from this gate being lit up. And Saturn, let's remember, as I said, he wants you to develop personal discipline. So part of this is also watching your mind and watching the story that's going on in your mind all the time that you may not normally pay attention to. But as you do that, and then you start to tell a different story, and you do that incrementally, step by step, you will develop mastery over your own story, which is good news for all of us really, but especially for us generators. But in addition to that, it gives us a lot of personal authority, because what is authority? And I'm not talking about your human design authority here right now. I'm talking about your personal authority. And that has to do with your ability to write your own story, right? You are the author of your life. And you can look back at challenging situations in your life, and you can see what did you get out of those in the long run. Because when we understand that the experiences of our lives has contributed to who we are now, whether they're traumatic or challenging or exciting, whatever they might be, they've all helped to contribute to us as we are today. And so you can go back and rewrite some of the stories that you have from the past. You can rewrite a story of being a victim, or rewrite a story of actually being a perpetrator and not giving yourself compassion for maybe why you did that. You can go back and rewrite some of those stories with your hindsight that will help you understand what they are, and then you can tell different stories going forward. So that's a big invitation for you now and all the way through next week. This channel being defined is particularly significant for any of us who have an open throat or an open G. I have a defined G, but I have an open throat. So this is defining my throat right now, and it's giving me extra energy to be able to tell stories, which is great because I tell stories during coaching and doing my videos and everything. I do have the 33 defined in my throat already, so I do have access to that. But when my whole throat is defined, it gives me an extra oomph. And those of you who have the G center open on your chart, you'll be having it defined. And so you'll have a different relationship to your own identity, your lovability, and your direction in life. So you can get the opportunity to be really playing around with that and using storytelling as your greatest ally. Then on Wednesday, February 2nd, the sun is going to join Saturn in the gate 13, right? So a lot of energy coming in through that storytelling gate. And then the earth is going to move into the gate 7. Well, I always thought of it as the chief of staff. That's the way it was always explained to me, which was the kind of the power behind the throne, if you will, or the person who really knows what's going on behind the figurehead of the gate 31. I think that's kind of an old school way of thinking of it. And I know in quantum human design, it has been renamed collaboration, which I think is great because we've renamed the 31, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is the New World Leader or the Democratic Leader. And then the collaboration, which is the support for the New World Leader, the support for the Democratic Leader is the ability to collaborate. So that's what the 7 is all about. Let's dive a little deeper into the gate 13 as the sun is joining Saturn there. And so there's a lot of energy lighting up that gate right now. And it is a storytelling gate, but it's a little bit more personal than the 33 because it is on the G center. So it is about our identity and expressing our identity through storytelling. And just like with the 33, with the retelling, we do want to make sure that when we tell our story, that it is digested enough so that we're really not doing, too much information on people that they're not ready to receive. Okay, so that is true here. But it also has a different quality of listening. Okay, the listener is what is called an understanding human design. And this listening quality really names that people who have this energy tend to attract other people to tell them their stories. I have known different people in my life who I've just said, yeah, do people like to confess to you? And they're like, they do, because there's a certain energy of certain people like that. This is a great energy for therapists, for coaches, for people in the healing arts, depending on if they do talk with their clients or not. And so this can be a huge attribute of helping people feel safe to tell you their story, as well as our ability to craft a narrative about who we are now and who we are becoming. And it is in the sensing circuit, which is collective circuitry. So even though it's individual, connecting to our identity because it's coming out of the G center, it's also about the collective. So as we're telling these stories about our identity and our direction in life, it's also a story for the collective. It's also something that helps everyone be able to understand their own identities better, understand who they are and who they can become by listening to or receiving your story. You've probably heard this before, that every time one of us really unleashes ourselves and is willing to fully be who we are, we give permission to other people to do the same. They're not going to become like us, right? They're not going to be who we are, but it's the process of actually stripping away the conditioning that has told us about who we could be and who we couldn't be, the things that were possible for us and the things that were not possible for us. It's stripping all of that away and getting more in touch with it, which is really ours, and being able to express from that place. And when you do that, it truly invites other people to tell their stories also, to unleash themselves from the confines that they have tolerated living inside of into a new horizon of possibility. And they can start to project that desire that they have for the life that they long for out into the future, not just through future tripping, like wishful thinking, but actually putting your creative, powerful, and emotional energy into the story of the life that you want to be living. And that is very potent as you put it into the unified field, or to the great cosmic womb that we call it in yoga. And that pulls us into the future. And it also lets the flow of life know the life that we want to be leading. So that is a huge invitation for you during this transit. Our ability to tell these stories is going to be grounded in collaboration, which is also collective circuitry. It's not in the sensing circuit, though. It's in the pattern circuit or the logic circuit. And so it's left-brained energy. It's much more rational and analytical than is the storytelling in the sensing circuit. But they make a great combination when you allow both of them to bring their positive, empowered attributes into play, and you don't have them beating up on each other, which is sometimes what could happen with the sensing circuit and logic circuit, because they really are sourcing information and wisdom from different places. So let's unpack a little bit this possibility that grounding ourselves in collaboration can support the expression of our storytelling. Interesting, right? So this is collective energy. And like I was saying a moment ago, even though this is a personal narrative, it is also about the collective. So collaboration, it could be tribal, absolutely, but it could also be more about the collective. So one possibility would be to tell some personal stories that have to do with having collaborated. Maybe things that have gone wrong and how you corrected it, or things that you learned from that you know you can do better now, or opportunities that you had that worked out really well through collaboration. Because again, those are stories that are going to inspire us and lead us into a world where we are more collaborative, which we do need as the basis for new world leadership and for democracy. So take a few minutes after you watch this video to think about what forms of collaboration have you engaged in throughout your life at different times, and what do you feel could be really beneficial. Unfortunately, I've talked to quite a few people who have not had great experiences with collaboration. And I've even had women tell me flat out that other women don't want to collaborate and that they're very competitive. Now, let's unpack that for a minute. This can be very true because in a patriarchal society, women generally are pitted against one another for the protection and the provision and the well-being that is provided by men, okay? The stronger person around them. And our world is quite different now, at least in the United States and many parts of the Western world. And it's not true all over the globe for sure. But even so, we're seeing that how women get to be is definitely changing. But we carry with us, millennia of conflict with each other in certain situations where we were vying for the favors of men and we couldn't trust each other. Or we were just trying to, sometimes even just taking care of our children. And we were looking for ways to do that. And we found that other women were maybe an easy target, as it were, somebody that we could manipulate. So this is like the shadow aspect of the 7, right? Is how do we manipulate people or control people? And through collaboration. Right, we make it seem like everybody's going to get something really great, but then we don't make good on it. Okay. And obviously, if you're on the side where you enter into a collaboration and you feel like you got burned, then you're in the disempowered aspect of the 7. So we have the opportunity while the earth is transiting this energy for us to really be healing and letting go of all of that competition and ways that we have manipulated and controlled each other as women. And also, and really all of us, but I'm just speaking to this history that those of us who have been identified as women and who identify as women, that has been a really kind of shadow, ugly part of our past. And we have the opportunity to revise that, and we can revise it by telling different kinds of stories. See how this is all working together? So again, my invitation to you is to use the power of storytelling to revise what we think is possible with collaboration. And if you're one of those people who's felt like you've gotten burned in the past, that's okay. And what can you imagine how it could work? Can you direct your energy and your powerful imagination towards coming up with how collaborations could actually work, given what you know about how they don't work? Because, as Abraham Hicks says, is that when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, right? It can help you understand more what you do want. So that's really the big invitation for us coming up on Wednesday. Have you had a chance to download the free ebooks that I have for you? Getting Started with Human Design and the Reflection Journal. Getting Started with Human Design is full color, full of photos and illustrations to show you what your human design chart looks like and what all of those elements are and where the human design chart came from, plus a reflection journal that is only in black and white, so it's easy to print out, and it's also fillable if you choose to work with it online. And it is designed to help you go deeper, both to apply what you learned to your own chart first, but then also to go deeper with that material. So I really encourage you to go and get it if you haven't already. The URL is right here, and let me know how it goes. I would love to hear back from you about what you got out of these ebooks. Many blessings, much love. Bye for now.